What's up? What's up?
What's up?
Oh my God, everybody. This is like a monumental episode. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Case Files with Kat.
And Ashley.
And
Jason.
That you're not Jason.
Here's my mic.
You're not Jason.
What do you call me?
The Wizard.
That's sweet. You guys, really, I just wanted to, I'm only going to be on here for a minute, and I wanted to tell you how proud I am of both of you. And you guys, you do it every week. You keep coming back. You keep doing the hard work, the hours and hours of research that it takes each of you every week to put this show on.
And then we don't do it for 2 weeks. So minus the last 2 weeks.
Sometimes that's my fault. But in celebration of your 500th episode, I wanted to come on and tell you that I found something on the internet that I think you guys will really, really enjoy. And
what is it?
It's pertinent to the show. If you hit pad D, you'll be able to hear it. Are you ready, though?
I'm so nervous.
This is gonna blow your freaking mind.
I feel like I'm dreaming right now.
I'm so nervous. Okay, are you ready?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, hold on. Let me make sure the volume is up.
Okay.
It's still playing the music.
Okay.
All right, hold on. Here we go.
D.
In a world of crime and mystery, they work for us, researching history. Kat and Ashley with a case to crack. On the move, never looking back. Case Files with Kat and Ashley. Always funny, sometimes trashy. Solving crimes with a beer in hand. Drunk detectives in a crazy land. From the studio to the scene of a crime. Technical issues all the time. With charm and wit, they're quite a sight. And Kevin the goat, he screams all night. He screams all night. But behind the scene there's a hidden ace. The wizard works with skill and grace. He's a mastermind, always on call. The wizard's the one who saves them all. With a clever mind and a handsome face, the wizard works without a trace. It's a sight to behold when he turns this shit show into gold. He turns the shit show into gold. He turns this shit show into gold. Case Files with Kat and Ashley. Always fun, sometimes trashy. Two drunk heroes with a silly embrace. And a hidden hero who makes the case. He screams all night.
I think we need to play the beginning of every episode.
Screams all night.
Is that our new
Intro.
our new intro music?
It's kind of long, but I think it's appropriate. And if you wanted to dissect the lyrics,
Oh my God, he has them all printed out.
Outro.
Yeah.
That could be our outro. Thank you. That was Olivia.
That was great. Thank you.
Oh my God. Case Files with Kat and Ashley. Always funny, sometimes trashy.
Most definitely.
Solving crimes with a beer in hand. Drunk detectives in a crazy land. I love it. Oh, I got
all right,
a
have a great
cramp
show,
from
guys.
laughing
Thank
too
you
hard.
so
Thank you, Wizard. Oh my God.
How do we even do a show now?
I don't know. And that's this episode.
Well, I'm glad you have to follow that up.
I know. Damn. Oh my gosh. I'm crying. I have a cramp from laughing too hard. I drank a lot of beer during that song. I'm just like, oh, I love my husband so much. God, I hope all of you at home are appreciating the fuck out of my husband right now. That was so funny. I know you can't appreciate him like me, but him, that was really funny.
Can you imagine the people that had to sing this?
Was that AI? What was that?
Or like the woman that sang it.
It was AI?
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Heard this like 5 times.
He wrote it like 5 times?
No, I've heard it like 5 times.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, everyone is really great at keeping secrets, but you in this
I am
family.
the worst. I am the worst.
I am too. I am so bad at
I am
keeping
the
surprises.
worst. Yeah, if it's good, I'm going to tell you. He's been holding on to this for a couple of weeks now.
Oh wow.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I have to follow that.
Yeah. Good luck.
Damn. All right. Might need another beer. Okay. Oh God, my story tonight. My story tonight is another one of those that that was just huge in the media, took the world by storm, and I pretty much let it played out before I wanted to cover it here on the podcast. But I will say it's also one that I realized I only knew like the broad strokes of as it was happening. Like I knew the headlines, but I didn't know much more than that. So, just broad strokes. So my story tonight is the Lori Vallow Daybell case that really gripped the country in 2019 as her 2 younger children were reported missing. Are you crying because you're laughing
I
so
laugh
hard?
so hard that my nose is like.
Is it running?
I'm okay.
Do we need a tissue?
I'm good.
Okay. If we need a tissue, girl, let's get a tissue.
We're good. That song was just amazing. Sorry.
I kind of have it stuck in my head.
I
It's
know.
this
I know.
little-
Sorry, I'm done now.
Okay.
Continue on.
Sorry. Okay, so 2 kids missing. And this is a little bit like I remember trying to tell Jason didn't know anything really about the story. He might have known 2 headlines, but then really ended there. So as I was telling him about it, I needed to draw it out. So this is definitely a red string kind of episode because there's so many people involved. But hopefully you're able to follow along. A lot of you probably already know it to a certain extent. So I don't, it was very, very famous. Okay, so let's first talk about Lori. She's the main player in this. Lori Ryan Daybell, also referred by me as the Lori Vallow Daybell, or even Doomsday Mom. She was born. That was a nickname for her.
Wow.
She was born Lori Noreen Cox on June 26th, 1973 in Loma Linda, California, and grew up in a really large Mormon family. There were 4 siblings. So there was Stacy Lynn, and she was born in 66. Then there was Alex, who we're going to hear a lot about. He was born in 68, and he's going to come up a lot. Then there's Adam, who was born in 69. Then there was Lori in 73. And then her younger sister, Summer, was born in 75.
Okay.
So her father would say there's a documentary series called Sins of Our Mother. It's on Netflix. It's just 3 parts. It's really well done. Really gets to the meat of it, but it doesn't get to like the updates. So, but you get a lot of it. It's really well done. And so he described her as that she was always a very spiritual person. Like she was just, she and the church were just, that's it. She loved going to church. She thought her father was a spiritual giant. She said that when she was 8 years old. She just loved Mormonism and the church so much. She grew up to be very, very popular. She was beautiful. She was a cheerleader, known and loved by all. She wanted to start a family early. So in 1992, at the age of 19, she married her high school boyfriend, Nelson, but that didn't last very long. And they were divorced shortly afterward. Then in 95, when she was 22, she married William LaGoya. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce L. I'm not even going to... LaGoya is what it looks like. And they had their son, Colby. That's her oldest child in 1996 before they divorced in 98. Then in 2001, she married Joseph Anthony Ryan Jr., Joe Ryan, who legally adopted Colby as his own. And then they had a daughter named Tylee in 2002. So now she has 2 kids, Colby and Tylee.
Okay.
They divorced in 2005.
Okay.
So this is 1, 2, 3. This is 3rd husband at this point. So during this marriage, however, she was still like the ideal mom. Everybody knew her. Still, everybody loved her. During this time, she competed in the Mrs. Texas pageant in 2007. Lori's brother, Alex, attacked Joe Ryan, alleging that he had been abusive to Lori and to the children. Colby had come forward and said he was always just kind of like, you know, if he could smack him in the back of the head, you know, just sort of like gratuitous hitting, like didn't need it, just to get the point across that he could be hit.
Yeah.
And then he said that Joe sexually abused him. It came out later that might not have been true. He was so young though at the time that he still says he believes that the abuse happened, but they're not sure if Lori, because this is sort of what she comes to do later, is feeding this sort of these lies to her children.
Okay.
And she did that. She does this over and over and over again. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this person's cheating on me. Oh, this person was abusive. And like, just sort of, she's the victim. This person is evil. And therefore everyone take my side. And she was so beautiful, so personable that she was hard not to believe. Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, but Colby says that he does believe that the abuse happened. So we'll just leave it there. But there was speculation that maybe that it was sort of, he was sort of coached, made to believe by his mother.
Right.
You know? So, Alex only served 90 days in jail for this little incident. And then in 2018, Joe Ryan was found dead in his apartment due to a heart issue.
Oh.
Wasn't seen as sus. Lori was notified as his next of kin. And then following her arrest, there was a recording that was unearthed where Lori mentions wanting to kill Joe, like the scripture says. You know, sort of like an eye for an eye, right? Police reviewed Ryan's death, but found no evidence of foul play. It was really just either he was the unluckiest person or whatever. I don't know. So in February of 2006, Lori married Leland Anthony Vallow, but he went by Charles, in Las Vegas, Nevada. And so this man actually truly did love Lori. She was a hairdresser. He came in to get his hair done. They decided to go on a date. They fell for each other. And Charles was a lifelong Catholic, but he liked her so much that he happily and with all the gusto in the world became a Mormon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he loved it. And just like, yep, that's fine by me. I'm a Mormon now, which is incredible.
Yeah.
He had 2 sons from his previous marriage, and he loved having the blended family. She always wanted her own room to dance. So there was always a room in the house for her to dance. It was just nothing else in the room but mirrors and a dance floor. And she would dance to Christian music and to 80s music.
What a weird combination, but all right.
So like there's video, I'll get to it later.
When you say dance, like ballet, or just dance, like letting it all out, loose dancing? Like, what do you mean?
I mean, I don't know.
Oh, I didn't know
actually,
if it's
I don't know. I don't know. She like did the whole thing. I don't know if she but I mean mirrors.
What a demand. I need a whole room just
a whole
to dance.
room. I want to dance. I just want to dance. So in 2013, kind of just shows that it's like, it's all about her.
Yeah.
A whole room.
Yeah.
It's about you. You know what I mean? Like forget everybody else in the house.
Yeah.
You know. In 2013, Lori and Charles adopted Charles's grandnephew, Joshua Jackson, JJ Vallow, whose birth parents were unable to care for him. So JJ was born with drugs in his system. And so the grandparents, which were Kay Wood, what was her last name? Oh my gosh, it's totally. So anyway, Kay is his sister, and so Kay was given JJ, and they happily took him in, but they were in their mid-60s at the time, and so Lori and Charles said, "We want to raise him," and they were like, it was the easiest, hardest decision I've ever had to make. You know, like
Yeah.
they didn't want to let him go, but it didn't. It made so much sense for them to be with this younger couple who had children who were, you know, who were
Yeah.
participating because they had a, you know, younger
Yeah.
girl already. It's in a teenage years, you know, or nearing the teenage years. They had a kid who was just about to leave home or was leaving home. So, I mean, like they were almost empty nesters, but they weren't old.
Is
you
this
know?
5 kids in the house at this point?
No. So the 2 kids from Charles's marriage were in another.
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
So
okay,
they
okay.
were also a bit older. Okay. So JJ was certainly the youngest. And so they to them, it just seemed like a no-brainer. But in late 2014, the couple moved to Hawaii.
Oh.
They stayed there for a couple of years. Colby came back first. He came back to go to school. Island life was not his thing. He went back to Arizona. And the family then followed him about, 2 years later. He felt like Colby's just an awesome man. What a good man
Yeah.
he turned out to be. And as a child, he was obviously going through all of these different marriages, and he just wanted something really stable. And Charles brought that. Charles was his dad, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they were.
Sorry.
He was just a good man. He loved Tylee. He loved Colby. He loved his mom, and Lori. They had this stable house. They lived in this one house, like they just had this very stable life. And so
Yeah.
for them to up and leave and go to Kauai was really, really hard. And so he went back to Arizona because he felt like that was home for him. It seems odd to go from Hawaii, which is like paradise, but he was like, he just wanted to be home.
Yeah,
He just wanted to be home.
Yeah.
So he went to school and met and married a beautiful, beautiful, amazing woman. And so he's just turned out just to be awesome.
Yeah.
But for all intents and purposes, this family on the outside looked like the picture perfect family. She was this active, protective mom who everyone knew and everyone loved. She was involved in all kinds of things. She had the prayer groups, the study, Bible studies and the kids things. And she was the fun aunt. She was the one that was like, let's go to the amusement park. Let's go to the beach. She was that kind of energetic. Let's get our hands dirty kind of a mom. Like, I wish I had that much energy,
Yeah. For sure.
But things changed. If they didn't, I wouldn't be doing the story. You know what I'm saying? So around 2015, Lori became interested in a writer by the name of Chad Daybell. He had a series of books called Standing in Holy Places. It was a series of books about his near-death experiences.
How many did he have?
He had a couple, but he said that was, it allowed him to see beyond the veil,
Oh, okay.
right? So he was getting messages
Oh.
from the other side.
Okay, I see. Got it.
He was getting images of the apocalypse.
Definitely someone to listen to.
Right. So by 2017, 2018, her interest had really gotten a lot deeper in him, and she started embracing his radical religious teachings, delving into books about near-death experiences and listening to podcasts by excommunicated Mormons. By the way, she claims to have also had a near-death experience when she was giving birth to Tylee. So that gave her the ability to also see beyond the veil.
But has that ever been proved or no?
No.
Okay.
Okay. No, nothing.
Got it.
So October 2018, Lori attended a Preparing a People event with her new friends, Melanie Gibb and Zulema Pastenis. And it's here that she actually got to meet Chad Daybell for the first time in person. And immediately it's fireworks. Chad claimed that they had been married in multiple previous lifetimes.
Oh. Moving fast.
And they began, and because, right?
yeah.
I mean, they were already married
Yeah.
spiritually.
It's not cheating if you were already married.
She also believed that she was married to Moroni in a previous life.
Okay.
But Moroni was an angel, so are they divorced?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
How do you divorce an angel?
Right? Like, wouldn't you just
feel like that's a lot of bad
continuously,
juju.
wouldn't you just continuously be married to Moroni? Anyway, she's also said that she spoke to Jesus and God. Like, it's the whole thing. So she's, yeah.
And Jesus told her to divorce an angel for a
I
human?
don't know. Did she just die? But why wouldn't she be immortal if she was married to an angel? It's so confusing.
That's so many
I
questions.
have so many questions about that, but she believed it.
Okay. well,
Anyway,
that's what matters, I guess.
so they started communicating very privately and flirtatiously right away. But following their initial meeting, Charles went on a business trip to Texas, gave her a chance to host a small overnight gathering at her house. Chad was there, but so was Melanie Gibb and some others. And there was just all this doomsday talk. The world's coming to an end. Melanie did say that she would hear Chad and Lori talking about zombies. So people whose souls were replaced by dark spirits or demons.
Unlike hers.
Zombies. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Just want to make sure I'm following.
No. On December 5th, 2018, Chad and Lori were on a Preparing a People podcast together titled Time to Warrior Up.
It's really not that long ago. I didn't know it was so recent.
A religious group started to form around Chad and his teachings. Chad and Lori told their followers that they were a part of the, quote, Church of the Firstborn, with Chad as the head of the church. So he was creating his own religion.
Got it.
So this is like what makes me go to his children who say it was Lori who made him radical.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sorry. He's the one creating the church. So how is it Lori?
Yeah.
Like, anyway. So the phrase Church of the Firstborn is found in the Doctrine and Covenants, referring to those sealed up in and in the end times. It has been used by various Mormon groups, some splintering from the LDS Church.
Oh.
So this is just a hotbed of cult stuff going on. So the group, it was small, included Lori's niece, Melanie Boudreau, Melanie Gibb, two Melanies in a very small group. It's hard to, so I'm going to say Melanie Gibb and Melanie Boudreau, Lori's brother, Alex Cox, and Zulema Pastenis, who eventually became Alex's girlfriend and then wife.
Oh, okay.
Gibb also co-hosted a radical religious podcast with Lori. Lori's former friend, April Raymond, told 48 Hours that it was around this time that Lori started referring to her husband, Charles Vallow, as a demon.
Oh, God.
And the demon's name? Ned Schneider.
I'm sorry. Okay. All right.
Sometimes also referred to as Nick Schneider. Both have been said. But Ned Schneider sounds like a podiatrist. I got a guy.
And was that a totally made up name, or was
that was a totally made up name?
And that's the name
Ned,
she went with?
That's the name. You're not Charles. You're Ned Schneider.
Okay.
The power of Christ compels you, Ned.
I don't know.
I got a foot guy. His name is Ned Schneider. You should talk about. I don't know. It just sounds like we're like
it doesn't sound like a demon name. That's all I'm saying.
like a Nickelodeon kid show producer. Wasn't that kind of what
Dan
Schneider? There, I was very close.
But still, it's not Ned. I mean, just when I think of demons, I don't think that their name is going to be
Ned Schneider. It's like Beelzebub.
I wouldn't be able to take you seriously if you just.
Hi, everybody. Ned.
I know. Be like, get the fuck out of here. Like,
What we do in the shadows. Colin.
Oh, Colin. Yeah, I can't remember his name. He's the
Oh, shit. Colin. What's his name? God damn it.
Robbins. Isn't
Colin
it?
Robinson. Colin
Yeah.
Robinson. Okay. So what incarnation did Lori and Chad actually believe? Well, okay. Lori and Chad Daybell's beliefs were a radical departure from mainstream LDS teachings. Reincarnation, which is not accepted by the LDS Church, played a key role in Chad's religious views. He claimed to have lived 31 previous lives on different planets.
Oh, wow.
And that Lori lived 21 separate lives, 5 of which coincided with his own experiences on Earth. So one of those planets. Lori told Melanie that she and Chad were sealed due to their previous marriages and past lives, despite their respective spouses still being alive. So when Gibbs suggested that they divorce their spouses, Lori said that they were not allowed to due to information from the other side of the veil.
That makes 0 sense. Wouldn't the other side of the veil want them to be...
Wouldn't the other side of the veil be like, don't marry that person? You got to wait for Chad. You guys have, you know what I mean? Like what?
Yeah.
Who were you? Who was your first husband in the first life? Because then aren't you just tied to him?
I feel like Ned needs to be involved in
Ned.
this. We have questions, Ned.
Damn, Ned Schneider's never around when you need him to be.
No.
So Chad also claimed to be a reincarnation of James. Jesus's brother, one of the prophets.
Oh, okay, great.
All right. Stating that Lori had been James's wife, Elena, in a past life.
Oh.
Sounds so convenient.
Definitely sounds like she's definitely leading this, like his children said. I feel like she's definitely top dog.
You think you really? Okay.
I'm kidding.
He
I'm
also
kidding.
said Lori had been Mary French, the great grandmother of Joseph Smith and the wife of the prophet Moroni. According to Chad, these past lives were multiple probations. He called them probations on Earth, a belief shared by some Mormon fundamentalist groups as necessary for reaching exaltation.
Oh.
Chad predicted the world would end in July of 2020. How's that looking for you, Chad?
Oh, man. Kind of did.
I mean, no. I mean, we were locked down. Was he like, see?
I know.
So, and he claimed to be guided by angels, seeing hidden truths.
Oh, okay.
Only that he could see. Lori claimed to have direct communication with God and Jesus Christ and believed she was an exalted goddess with visionary powers destined to lead the 144,000 people who would survive the end times.
That's a very specific number.
I find it really hard to read that without just snark in my voice. It's hard.
Yeah.
I'm being judgy, but if you think you guys are king and queen of 144,000 people that Jesus is going to save at the end times, I don't know.
I mean, if I had a direct line of communication to God and Jesus, I would have I feel like they would cut that shit off because I just have so many questions.
So
I would be too busy to lead people.
like,
Question.
what do I get? What's in it for
Is there going to
me?
be food there?
What's in it for me?
Who's attending?
So Zulema Pastenes, who's the future sister-in-law of Lori, told investigators that Lori believed as an exalted being, she couldn't be held responsible for her actions on Earth. So anything that was happening, she's like, the world's going to end. They're not even going to think about me and getting married 18,000 times. They're not going to like, you know what I mean? They're just like, this isn't going to matter. No one's even, they're not going to be wondering why I went to Hawaii. You know what I mean? Like this is how they thought.
Wow.
So Chad categorized people as light and dark. There was a scale also, and he believed, according to where you lived on the scale, you were possessed by evil spirits or not. So the group participated in casting ceremonies aimed at casting away evil spirits through prayers and scripture readings. But they believed that possessed people could become zombies, and the only way to banish a zombie was to kill the person. So once you're a zombie, like we're gonna pray for you that you're not possessed by this evil spirit, but pretty soon you're gonna be a zombie, and then you have to die. Yikes. So 7 women in the group, including Lori and Zulema, called themselves the 7 Gatherers and performed castings together, sometimes via Zoom.
Oh,
because
it's convenient.
Lockdown. So Chad and Lori also scored people on a vibration scale, and with high vibrations indicating special powers. And then their beliefs included teleportation and dark and light portals. Chad claimed he could create supernatural portals to interact spiritually. This is all in quotes with Lori, receive revelations, and travel to other realms. That just sounds like some lucid dreaming.
I mean, it sounded like he was at someone's party. From a previous episode.
Let me check your pupils. Basically, this is Mormon fanfic.
This is crazy. I'm sorry. I know that that's a bad term to use, but these people are batshit crazy.
These are, I mean...
But go on. I'm listening.
If I fits, I sits. Okay, so by February 2019, things were falling apart for Charles and Lori Vallow. There was just a quick, you meet Chad and I'm stepping away. Like it that's it.
Yeah.
In a phone call with Lori's son, she refers to Chad as PETA. What's his PETA from Family Guy? What's his name? Peter
Griffin?
Yes. So he's like, so you're running off to Hawaii with Peter Griffin lookalike or whatever. So like he looked like Peter Griffin.
Okay.
And Charles was like this handsome dude, right? And so like there's just this frumpy Peter Griffin kind of guy.
I feel like there's other red flags besides the way someone looks.
No.
Like, in
but
the story.
like, yes, there's lots of red flags, but the way that he describes
I know.
And like how hot and heavy they are.
Yeah.
They are hot.
I mean, they've been married 5 times
No.
or whatever.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, yes, that's right. So they're just
what were you talking about?
But like they are like hot and yes, they're like hot and heavy just so fast. And so it becomes this sort of like, it's all about desire, it's money and sex and power is all it becomes. Like that's just what they're after. And so at one point, Charles said that Lori told him, quote, she no longer cares about him or JJ. And then she disappeared with Tylee for 58 days.
Holy shit.
Without JJ. And that same month, Charles filed for divorce, claiming Lori had threatened his life, stolen his truck, and taken $35,000 out of his business account, so he couldn't even make payroll.
Oh my gosh.
In his filing, he reported that Lori believed that he was possessed by a dark spirit, and that she was a, quote, a god assigned to carry out the work of the 144,000 at Christ's second coming.
This was in the report?
This was in the filing.
God, those poor court people.
Which she said would happen in July 2020. She even threatened to murder him if he got in her way.
Please tell me they sided with him.
Charles was so concerned that he sought a protective order against Lori on his attorney's advice. He's like, I don't know where she is. I don't know. She says that she's going to murder me. And they're kind of like, so she's just going to spiritually murder you. And he's like, no, like physically murder. Like there's body cam footage of him calling.
Yeah.
His truck got taken out from the airport. So when he's trying to come back from Texas, this truck wasn't there. He's locked out of his house. All of his stuff is gone. And he's like, what the fuck? Right. So he calls 911. He's like, I don't know where my kids are. I haven't been able to talk to them. They're 6 and 16. And, I don't know what's going on. And they're just kind of like, yeah. And so then they meet her and she's just charming and beautiful. And she's like, he cheated on me and I found all this stuff in his phone. He's just mad and da-da-da-da-da. And they're like, yeah, you seem okay. But he tried to get like a psychiatric hold on her. They let her go within hours. They said, you're going to be on hold for probably 24, 48 hours. They let her go within hours. They're like, you're fine.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
I guess that was Ned at work.
So that Ned, he said, she's calling me Nick Schneider. She says, I'm going to murder you and nobody's going to care because you're Nick Schneider. You're not Charles anymore. Anyway, he withdrew the petition a month later, hoping to reconcile because she came home. But despite this, he remained worried about her erratic behavior. And so in February of 2019, he changed the beneficiary of his $1 million life insurance policy to be his sister without Lori knowing.
Nice.
Arizona police later uncovered text messages between Chad, Lori, and Alex referring to Charles as being possessed by a dark spirit. Lori told her religious group that Charles had become a zombie, and several members prayed for his death.
Oh, shit.
When Charles discovered Lori's affair with Chad, he confronted her. And 11 days before his death, he actually emailed Chad's wife, Tammy, and said, hey, our spouses are having an affair, and like gave her some proof of that. Evidence showed that Tammy opened it, read it, deleted it, and blocked Charles.
Was it really her, though?
Probably not. Probably not. Because he said, I told his wife or whatever. So it was probably caught. On July 11th, 2019, Charles went to Lori's house in Chandler, Arizona to pick up JJ to take him to school. And Alex Cox was there. And as he went out of the house, he realized he left his phone in Lori's house. And so he went back in and she wouldn't give it back. And he was like, give me my phone, Lori. And she was like, not when you're acting like that. What's in it? What did you do? You know, and just kind of that, this is their story. Cox claimed that Charles had attacked him with a bat, and he shot Charles 2 times in the chest.
All this while that poor baby's outside? Or child?
So they said that first Alex said nobody was in the house, that it was that Lori had taken JJ and Tylee, and it was just Alex and Charles fighting. What we learned through the investigation is that they were outside, and then they sent Tylee back in to grab something, and she just ran through the living room, which was the dance room. So it's empty. So there's a dead person laying down in the middle of the living room. And she's just like, I didn't see anything. You couldn't not see anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think Tylee was being very much influenced by her mother. Lori then takes JJ. They go to Burger King, and then they go to take him to school, and then they go to Target, buy some flip-flops, or Walgreens or something. She buys her and Tylee some flip-flops, and then they go back to the house. Police show up, and the body cam footage shows her just calm, cool, collected. Both her and Tylee. She makes jokes. She's smiling. She's like, yeah, my neighbors don't know me, but hey, sorry, I've been here 3 weeks. Hi neighbors. And she's kind of like laughing and joking about it. She never asks, is Charles okay? She doesn't ever ask that because she already knows.
Yeah.
Right? 911 was called 40 minutes after the call to Lori was made. So anyway, Tylee told the police that she saw part of the incident, but ran away with JJ before the shooting. No charges were made. Neighbors reported hearing a pool party with loud music at Lori's home later that same day. And then Alex later told Zulema that he didn't feel bad because he had killed a zombie. Charles's attorney stated that he was mainly concerned for JJ's safety and well-being, given JJ's need for consistent routine. So he had autism, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he needs to have this routine, and he wasn't getting it anymore. Charles was also worried about Tylee, but couldn't include her in his filings because she wasn't his biological daughter, which is so messed up because he loved her, but he didn't adopt her. So that's that whole thing. So he had no legal standing.
Yeah.
A few days after Charles's death, Chad sent Lori a love story through text messaging. Investigators described it as a romance novel detailing the meeting of James and Elena and their sexual relationship. Oh, he was sexting biblical references too. That's probably blasphemous. By the end of August 2019, Lori had moved to Rexburg, Idaho with her kids, did not tell anybody else where she was going, so Colby had no idea. He was so upset. When Charles was killed, Lori called Colby and said Charles had a heart attack. So he comes running to the house to be like, oh my gosh, are you guys okay? What can I do? Let's be together, because he's just this amazing human being. And then they're like, actually, he was shot by Alex twice because he was coming at me or whatever. And he's like, what? And it was like sort of at that moment where he said he didn't want to be there anymore. And he did know that something was wrong. He felt like something wasn't right.
Oh, Colby.
I know Colby's such a good person. And he was like, he worried so much about his sister and brother. So Lori said, we're going to move. And he was like, great, get out of that house. That's, find another little house and start all over there. And she was like, we're going to move somewhere cold. And he was like, you're going to move. And that for him is like, don't move. Cause that's, give those kids some stability.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't say where. Tylee wasn't allowed to tell him where, and it was just a big old secret. Alex also moved out to Rexburg, Idaho with them. On October 2nd, 2019, Brandon Boudreaux, Melanie Boudreaux's husband, the estranged husband of Lori Vallow's niece, Melanie, had a terrifying experience. He was driving home in Gilbert, Arizona. Someone shot at him from a Jeep, and the bullet missed his head by inches.
Oh my gosh. And
in the moment, he said, I don't know. I think it was like a truck or something. But later he was like, you know what? It was a Jeep. And I got the license plate number. And you know who drove that Jeep? Charles Vallow.
Oh.
But he's dead. Right?
Yeah.
So they look up the license plate number, report it to the police, and they track it to Charles Vallow. Melanie had gotten deeply involved with her Aunt Lori's religious activities, even insisting that she and Brandon stockpile food for the end of the world. Well, if you're going to be saved, why do you need a stockpile food? I don't know. Anyway, by the end of that summer, though, she was demanding a divorce, which wasn't finalized when Brandon was shot at. So they were still technically married at that point. Brandon said he was blindsided by the divorce, attributing it to Melanie's involvement in what he called her aunt's cult. Investigators later were able to get a warrant for the Jeep to see the GPS history, and were also able to track Alex Cox's cell phone usage, and both revealed that he had searched online for directions to Brandon's address, and the Jeep that belonged to Charles had been near Brandon's home in the hours before the shooting. On the day of the attack, Alex and Lori communicated several times. Lori even made internet searches about a shooting in Gilbert, Arizona later that day. Nice. Not suspicious at all. I'm surprised that there weren't arrests at this point.
Are you really?
I mean, no. I'm sad. We could not get away with that.
Very few people can actually get away with it.
Damn.
Really good looking people.
I know.
Sure, you good looking
She
people.
was a beauty pageant person.
Yeah.
So just a few days later, on October 9th, 2019, Tammy Daybell reported being shot at in her driveway by a masked man with what she thought was a paintball gun. So her friend was like, of course it was a paintball gun. We're in Idaho. What else could it be? Like, people in Idaho don't have guns, I guess.
But do people just run around shooting people with paintball guns
She
in
thought
Idaho?
it was like a...
I don't ever hear about Idaho.
That the man pulled the trigger several times, but nothing happened. So they were like, oh, it's just a prank. So it must be a paintball gun.
Weird. But okay.
I mean, weird. Then, just 10 days later, Tammy was found dead in her home. Chad Daybell claimed she had gone to bed with a terrible cough and just died in her sleep.
Wow. Okay, then.
Like, all in all, a healthy person. She took clogging classes. She walked over 10,000 steps every day. She had really gotten fit. I saw like a sort of like a history of photos of her, and she really, looked like she got fitter and fitter as the years went on. She, she looked beautiful. But her death was ruled at that point initially as dying from natural causes. Just based on Chad saying whatever he said. But interestingly, back in February of 2019, Chad had told his neighbors that he had a vision of Tammy dying before her 50th birthday. So he was like getting ready for it. Her funeral was organized 3 days after she died, which most people find to be incredibly quick. I mean, I'm still mourning. I don't know, like, unless you've already planned it. Chad's behavior at the funeral also raised eyebrows. He didn't seem particularly devastated, acting more businesslike than grieving. His sister-in-law even mentioned that his demeanor didn't seem genuine. So, I mean, all these little flags are popping up. After Tammy's death, Chad received life insurance payouts totaling $430,000, which is like over $500,000 now, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Initially, there was no autopsy because of what Chad said, but later...
So they literally just took his word for it?
They took his word.
Wow.
But a couple of months later, they're like, you know what? Nuh-uh, dig it up. Let's do it. Let's do an autopsy. Investigators later uncovered text messages between Chad and Lori where they discussed Tammy being in limbo, I'm doing that in quotes, and possessed by a spirit. Chad and Lori had even told their followers that Tammy had become a zombie. And what happens to zombies?
They die.
They die. But did she want brains? Like, isn't that what zombies eat? Like,
Yeah, I mean, typically that's what they're going for.
and then isn't she already dead? So how can she die?
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah. Anyway, so Alex's phone data once again placed him near the Daybell's residence, both on the day Tammy was shot at and on the night that she died. Police found an AR-15 at Cox's home that resembled a paintball gun, as Tammy described it, and it's believed the gun might have jammed or misfired during the shooting. Probably. So what made this case go viral? It was the disappearance of the children, Tylee and JJ. You know where this is going. Sorry. Tylee, who was 17 at the time, was last seen on September 8th, 2019 at Yellowstone National Park with her brother JJ, her mother Lori, and her uncle Alex. There were a couple of photos that were released by the FBI of this outing, and they are believed to be the last photo taken of Tylee. And we will post that on Facebook.
Wonderful.
And Instagram. Despite Lori's claim that Tylee was attending BYU, Idaho, which is what she was telling people, she never enrolled in any school in Idaho. On September 23rd, 2019, a doorbell camera captured JJ playing with a friend, marking the last known footage of him. His last confirmed sighting was at Rexburg's Kennedy Elementary School. The next day, Lori told the school she was homeschooling him. There's also a picture the FBI released of JJ on the couch or something on a chair in his red pajamas. They believe this photo was taken on the day he was killed, as they found him in those same pajamas. Despite their disappearance, though, Lori continued to collect the Social Security survivor benefits for both children. In October 2019, 2 Venmo payments were made from Tylee's account to her older half-brother Colby with affectionate messages. And this was the last time Colby heard from who he thought was Tylee. When he expressed any concern in the previous text messages, because he'd been trying to get a hold of her, especially after Charles died, he was really trying to be that brother who... I'm there for you. If you want to talk, I know this house is crazy. I know what you're going through. You're a teenager, like talk to me. Like, I know you're going through stuff. Like, talk to me. He was really trying to counsel her. He very much was, a Christian, and he was trying to get her to, to sort of follow that. And he loved her so much. And he'd be like, when it was no punctuation and all lowercase, he was like, this isn't her. And he was like, what's wrong? You're not sounding like yourself.
Yeah.
And it was just these short messages, really busy, really busy, really busy at a movie, you know, and he's like, you are not that busy.
Yeah.
You can call me for 3 minutes. Let me just hear your voice. And she wasn't responding. And he would call his mom. Why is it? Oh, she's just really busy. You know how teenage girls are, blah, 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 blah. And so she was just gaslighting him too. Well, she was typing as Tylee, so she was gaslighting him on both fronts. So both Brandon Boudreaux and Melanie Gibb later revealed that Lori and Chad believed Tylee and JJ were possessed and had become zombies. Zulema testified that Chad had predicted JJ would die soon and return as Colby's son.
What in the fuck?
The FBI discovered text messages where Lori and Chad discussed the children's possession and mentioned having a, quote, perfectly orchestrated plan to take the children. Lori and Alex Cox even exchanged messages about working on Z's, referring to zombies. 1 week after Tammy's death, Chad told his neighbors Todd and Alice Gilbert that he had already found the woman he would marry. And just a few days later, he introduced them to Lori. And they're like, what the fuck? Like, I guess we'll welcome you. And they're like, she seemed nice, but seems very fast.
Yeah.
Alice Gilbert described the meeting as awkward because Chad and Lori were laughing and giggling and being unusually affectionate. Like, he was never like that with Tammy. And that was just kind of like, she just died, dude. And they're like making out in her house. Chad also mentioned that Lori had, quote, recently had a daughter who passed away.
Oh my God.
Yep. Chad later told Tammy's sister that he and Lori bonded over recent deaths of their spouses. He also claimed Lori had no children, so they would be empty nesters. Wow. Chad and Lori married in Hawaii on November 5th, 2019, just 2 weeks after Tammy's death and 2 months after the murders of Tylee and JJ, though at the time, no one knew that they were dead. They just thought they were missing. And they did not know that Tammy had been killed. They just, at this point, were like, it was natural causes. Chad did not inform his family about the wedding. His mother only found out when she met Lori. And Lori didn't tell her family either. So there was nobody on the beach with them in Hawaii. It was just them. And they posted these fucking sickening pictures of like him playing the ukulele and her dancing, and they're just laughing and gross.
It sounds like the teenagers from the last story I did grew up to be these people.
100%. 100%. Investigators later discovered that Lori had ordered a pair of wedding rings in August of 2019, several months before Tammy's death. So this was a plan.
Yeah.
This was just like, Tyler, this is just a plan, right?
God, poor Tammy.
I know. And that she had searched for wedding dresses on the day she was buried.
Oh my fucking God.
Trash people. Just trash.
I mean, the process of like getting married 2 weeks after your long time wife died unexpectedly is just, how does that not raise
Gross.
red flags to anybody outside of his family?
So I think it should raise a red flag for everybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm
saying. I think
the
children should be like, what did you do to mom?
That's
like,
what I'm
this
saying.
Is
like,
crazy.
how are people not looking at this situation and being like, what in the fuck is going on right now? Like,
so on the morning of November 26, 2019, police visited Lori's townhouse in Rexburg for a welfare check on JJ. The request had come in from Kay Vallow Woodcock, Charles Vallow's sister. She had November 25th had asked for it to be done. November 26th, it was done. Detectives Hermosillo and Hope found Chad and Alex at Lori's home, unloading or loading a pickup truck. Both men acted incredibly suspiciously when they were asked where JJ was. They looked at each other and then didn't answer.
nice.
Nice.
Not suspicious.
Then, when they asked again, Alex claimed that JJ was with his grandmother, Kay,
Is that the one who called the...
not knowing that it was Kay who called for the welfare check. Like, sorry, bud, try again. When told that, they looked at each other and then they didn't say anything again.
I just can see this scene playing out.
It's ridiculous, right? Then they were asked, well, do you have Lori's phone number? They know that this is a brother who's very close to Lori, and they also know that Chad is her new husband, but they're not acting like they know, right? Mm-hmm. So they say, do you have Lori's phone number? And they're like, nope. Well, who are you? Well, I'm just Alex's friend. I've only just barely met Lori. And they're like, really? Do you have Lori's phone number? Yes, sir. And they hand it over. Like, because they're like, you were so full of shit. We're not. So they eventually gave it over. They're like, yeah, she's over in apartment 107, which was like her niece's apartment. When the police contacted Lori, she said JJ was in Arizona with her friend Melanie Gibb. Well, Melanie didn't know that they were going to tell them that.
Yeah, maybe you should like get that settled first.
So Chad calls Melanie and says, the police are going to call. Don't answer the phone. And so she's like, okay. So they called. She didn't answer the phone. And then finally, it's just like, hey, Lori says JJ's with you. And so Melanie gets really pissed off. She gets really pissed off. She's because Lori's telling the cops, oh, she has JJ. They probably went to go see Frozen 2. That's what JJ wanted to do today. And so they called and like, just tell them you were at Frozen 2 and just take a picture of like random children or something.
Oh my God.
That night, a neighbor saw Lori and Alex packing a truck outside of her home. And the next day, when police and the FBI arrived again with a search warrant to search the house, because they, at this point, were like, y'all aren't telling the truth.
Yeah.
Investigators, they found the apartment abandoned, and then they also searched Chad's home. So they had left. Melanie Gibb, Lori's friend, was upset to have been told that, told by the cops. Lori told the cops about her and JJ. So she told the police that JJ hadn't been with her for months. She also revealed that Lori and Chad had asked her to lie about JJ's whereabouts, but she refused. She also tape recorded a conversation with them saying, if you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. And she's like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but God will reveal the truth. And
good for her.
Blah, 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 blah. And she's like, I think you're being swindled, and I think you're following an evil person.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. She's so starting in December 2019, law enforcement ramped up their investigation, as well as they were totally looking into the fact that Chad and Lori just bailed. They left Idaho, and they decided to take a closer look at Tammy's death, and they exhumed her body. On December 20th, Rexburg Police Department announced that Tylee and JJ were officially missing and called for public assistance to find them. They also suggested a possible link between the children's disappearance and Tammy's suspicious death, because at that point, they said that Tammy had died from asphyxia, that she had indeed been murdered. Boom. Too little, too late, because now they're off somewhere. So because the two missing children and all these dead spouses, this gained national attention. They on December 23rd, Chad and Lori issued statements through a Rexburg attorney who defended Chad as a loving husband and Lori as a devoted mother, dismissing the allegations as mere speculation. But they were off in Kauai at this point, just having a ball. Colby, the oldest son, along with JJ's grandparents, Larry and Kay Woodcock, and Chad's brother, Matt, made public pleas for the children to be returned. On January 7th, 2020, the Woodcocks held a press conference in Rexburg offering a $20,000 reward leading to the children's safe return. And on January 25th, 2020, Lori and Chad were found in Kauai, and Dateline actually was there going, hey, Lori and Chad, Dateline, where are you guys heading? Putting that mic, and they're like, no comment. this high-pitched voice. No comment. Like, well, are you heading back to
Smack her in
Idaho?
the face with it.
Like, are you heading back to Idaho because a judge is requiring you to produce the children, and if you don't, you're gonna go to jail. You must produce the children. You're saying they're safe. You know where they are. We need to see them in court.
Yeah.
Or you're going to go to prison. You're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't produce the children in court, right? So there's that. She had 5 days. In February 2020, authorities focused on a storage locker in Rexburg rented by Lori in 2019. And inside they found items that belonged to Tylee and JJ, including clothing, bikes, photographs. Surveillance footage showed Lori and Alex moving the items to and from the locker before Lori left Rexburg in late 2019. They showed there's one documentary that said you could see the grandparents go, I think that's an arm, like just hanging there. But I don't know I don't know that that's necessarily true, but she was like, oh, I think that's an arm. I think that's an arm, just kind of hanging there. But
Yeah.
you don't know. It's hard to see. It's grainy footage. So on February 20th, 2020, Lori was arrested in Hawaii by the Kauai Police Department. She faced multiple charges in Madison County, Idaho, including 2 felony counts of desertion and non-support of dependent children. She had originally gotten a bail of $5 million because girl liked to travel.
Yeah.
Right. But later it got reduced to $1 million. But there's a lot of people who weren't willing to work with her on the bail.
Yeah,
So that
I don't
she
blame
stayed.
her.
She stayed. So after Lori's arrest, Chad returned to Idaho and tried to persuade the Gilberts to use their home for Lori's bond, claiming it was a
God.
divine idea, like God told him to. When confronted about the children, Chad said it was a custody issue and used the past tense when referring to Tylee, saying she didn't like people and she didn't like him.
How's it a custody issue when their father is dead?
That is a good question. And I just want you to hear just grossness. Here, this is from Court TV. So Chad is on trial now.
Okay.
His trial started this last month. And so there's a never before heard audio of a phone call. And she's going to explain it a little bit, and then you'll hear a little bit. I won't play the whole phone call because it really is just, you just want to scream. But she explains what we should be hearing. Like
Okay.
she's gotten to hear the explanation of it. So she's explaining it to us to play the audio clip. So this is from Court TV.
Is Alex Cox. Now, Chad Daybell is claiming to Lori in this phone call that he can talk to Alex Cox. Even though Alex Cox is deceased, he's able to text Alex. Alex, per Chad, is telling Lori that Alex, her brother, misses her. And Lori starts to ask some questions. She's wanting assurances, saying at first when we got started with this plan, because they're talking in code, they're talking about a project, talking about a blueprint. So Lori is saying at first there's a 3% chance that we thought we were going to get in trouble, and now it seems like 100%. And she's telling Chad, I need some assurances that things are going to be okay. And he tells her, honey, I can see that things are going to be okay. How do you know this? Because I can see it. That's what Chad is saying. So interesting phone call, to say the least, as Lori sits behind bars. Chad's still on his way, but because of this phone call, this very phone call, it then prompted investigators to search Chad Daybell's property the very next day. And what did they find? The remains of JJ and Tylee.
I asked him what we'd talked about. And he's very optimistic.
He's saying Alex is very optimistic.
for you, or he's very optimistic it could happen.
He's very optimistic. For both of us.
He doesn't know his own project timeline.
He said stick with it. To what he projected in that paper he wrote.
House renovations always take longer than they think.
That's the problem.
I've been watching that Extreme Pools, and the people are like 3 months out. Like, when they estimated they'd have it done, and they're like, well, we had so many problems. We couldn't get to the backyard. We had to pull a crane over the house to get these huge rocks for the waterfall.
I can remember last summer, Taylor Hill Markstrand parents moved into a trailer, like a camping trailer, in their driveway because they were going to build their house by the end of the year. Guess where they're still at?
Really?
They sold their house to their son. It's just a weird situation, but you're exactly right. Yeah, it takes forever.
Yeah, there's always something comes up. Well, we didn't know when we dug in your backyard we were going to find whatever.
We didn't know when we dug in your backyard that we were going to find. She gave that shit away.
Do you think that she was intentionally trying to get him arrested because she was upset that she was in jail and he wasn't?
No, he was her
They're
that's it.
Genuinely that delusional?
That delusional.
Wow.
All that laughing makes me want to vomit.
Just the casual talking about it, and like it's a joke to them, and like it's just gross.
So gross. So gross. Okay, so the day after this phone call, so that was June 8th. On June 9th, police found human remains buried in Chad's backyard. There is a phone call between he and Lori as this is happening.
They let a phone call happen while it's happening.
So they're searching the property. They said you can stay, but you're gonna be watched. So just stay. And he sat in his car, and they're watching him on the phone. He's on the phone with Lori, and he's saying, they're here searching. And she's like, oh, they're searching the house again? He goes, no, the property. And as he's talking to her, he's looking over his shoulder and looking at some point in the distance. So the police, dumbasses.
I mean, they should have done it, but they are so stupid.
So the cops are watching him, and they're like, what is he looking at? So they kind of put themselves in his line of sight, like where he would be looking. And it's the backyard, and it references a piece of part of the property that he text messaged Tammy and said, weird thing happened today. I was in the backyard burning some of the brush before the rains came, and I saw a big raccoon in the middle of the day, right? Saw a big raccoon. So I got my gun and I shot it and I buried it in the pet cemetery.
Why would you just shoot a random fucking raccoon to then
And
bury
why
it?
would you then text all that shit to your wife? Very dumb people. So they're like, oh, we're looking for the fire pit in the pet cemetery.
I have to say, these police officers, I'm very pleased with these. They're putting shit together. They're doing stuff. Because some of the police we've talked about would just be like, why does he keep looking at his backyard? Well, let's keep looking over here. You know what I mean?
Wouldn't go there. The pet cemetery. Anyway, so
I'm just saying these police are doing a good job.
They're doing, yeah. So yeah. So Alex's cell phone once again is part of that. His cell phone pinged at Lori's home, and later at Chad's home. And on September 23rd, the day after JJ's last sighting, Cox's phone again pinged at Chad's property. Investigators also discovered a text conversation between Chad and Tammy about him shooting and burying that raccoon, which raised suspicions because it was like a huge text, and he was only ever like, need anything from the store? They didn't talk in their texts.
Yeah.
Right. On June 10th, the Woodcock and Ryan families confirmed that the remains found on June 9th were indeed Tylee and JJ. And then Rexburg police officially confirmed that on June 13th. Tylee's body had been burned and dismembered. The detective described it on the stand as, quote, globs of flesh that had been burned, is what they found. They also found, quote, more globs of flesh and bone that had been burned and that were stuffed into a melted green bucket. Underneath the bucket was a partial human skull. When they attempted to lift it up, it broke apart. So they had to kind of scoop all this up and put it into the body bag to take it to the morgue. She was 17. Meanwhile, JJ's body, he was 7, was wrapped in plastic. Two layers of plastic. JJ had been found with duct tape in his mouth. He was bound. Hands and feet were bound, but he also had duct tape on his mouth. Officially, he died by asphyxiation, while Tylee's cause of death was ruled a homicide by unspecified means because she was dismembered and there was just no way. The dismemberment and the burning.
Yeah.
Lori had said at one point that the only way to rid somebody of a zombie was to either bind them or burn them. So these two things happened. Forensic examiners found Tylee's DNA on a pickaxe and a shovel on the property, and Alex Cox's fingerprints and Lori's hair on the plastic and duct tape used on JJ. So that puts her there in my eyes.
Yeah.
On June 24th, 2020, this phone call between Lori and her sister Summer Shiflett happened. This is gut-wrenching. It's kind of hard to understand in bits through the tears, but you'll get most of it.
Hi, Sonny. Hi. How are you? Not good. And how are you? Not good. I don't know what to say. Do you not want to talk? I'm willing to listen if you want to talk to me. I just don't know what to say. I don't know what anybody knows. I've been in isolation for 2 weeks, so I don't know anything that's going on. I haven't talked to anyone.
Is the one crying
Well,
Lori?
I know that they found
The sister.
Tylee buried in a pet cemetery and JJ buried on Chad's backyard. And we don't understand how that happened or why. Can you tell us? They were devastated. Did you know they were there?
Did you know they were there?
Can't talk about it.
Bitch.
I don't know what to say, Lori. I mean, you know how much I love you and Alex. I'm sick to my stomach. I didn't think anything, you never let anything happen to the kids and just let them be thrown away
Damn.
I mean, she's right. I mean, in every aspect. I mean,
The first time I heard that, I just sat at the kitchen table and cried. I cried along with her. Like, it just gets me. Like, that
can't
pain.
believe how full of shit Lori is.
So, just
I don't know what happened.
You weren't there. You don't know. You weren't there. In August of 2020, Chad Daybell was excommunicated from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints due to his teachings, which media later described as a doomsday cult. On July 2nd, 2020, prosecutors dropped 2 charges against Lori related to desertion and non-support of the dependent children, charging her instead with obstruction or concealment of evidence regarding her children's remains. On July 17th, her bond was reduced to $150,000, although Chad still needed to post $1 million in Fremont County to be released. On May 25th, 2021, both Chad and Lori were indicted on charges of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and grand theft by deception of the deaths of Tylee, JJ, and Tammy. Lori also faced a grand theft charge related to her children's Social Security benefits, and Chad was charged with insurance fraud related to Tammy's life insurance policy. In June of 2021, Lori was indicted by an Arizona grand jury on 1 count of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder for Charles Vallow's death. Police documents indicated that Charles's death was planned, and it was to prevent him from confronting Lori about her extreme religious beliefs. In July of 2021, Maricopa County prosecutors decided not to prosecute Chad in connection with Charles's death, citing no reasonable likelihood of conviction. They could put Lori involved and Alex involved, but they couldn't put Chad in there. In 2022, Lori was indicted on 1 count of first-degree premeditated murder, alleging she conspired with her brother to kill Brandon Boudreaux. The charges are stacking. So Lori's trial, jury trial for the Madison County charges was initially set for January of 2021. On May 27th of 2021, she was found incompetent to stand trial. But after treatment, she was deemed competent. So that was in April of 2022. It was suspended again in October for further competency evaluation, but resumed in November of 2022. So she was basically found to have delusions. She was delusional. She had narcissistic personality disorder. She had some other, but she wasn't insane. Mm-hmm. She had mental health issues, but she wasn't insane. She wasn't too crazy to sit for a trial. Both Lori and Chad pleaded not guilty to all charges in Idaho. Their cases were split in March of 23 at Chad's request due to the need for more time to review DNA evidence and the mutually antagonistic nature of their defenses. It wasn't me, it was him. Is basically, or it wasn't me, it was her. It's basically Chad. She said. It was on Chad's property. Lori was never there. Alex's phone was there, but Lori's phone wasn't there. Reasonable doubt. Yeah. Didn't work. On March 21st, 2023, the judge removed the death penalty for Lori Vallow due to newly discovered DNA evidence too close to the trial to be tested. Lori's trial began on April 3rd, 2023. And the prosecution called about 60 people to be witnesses, and her lawyers did not call any, which is not unheard of. It's not. But damn. Prosecutors argued that Lori had manipulated her brother Alex to commit the murders. In fact, Alex did tell his wife that he felt like he was the fall guy. He said that to her the day before he died. And he died.
What? Alex died? Did you already say this? Or is
yes,
this?
It's brand new.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa, I missed it. Like blacked out somewhere.
So he died because he knew like it was coming, but he died of natural causes, and they've looked that up. They've done the research. They've done the autopsy, and they're like, there's nothing, they can't pin it. either the luckiest or the unluckiest guy.
Yeah.
But he knew, I think he started to feel like
They were
maybe
gonna
he was
pin it on them.
maybe he was second guessing his role. He had been told that he was her protector. He was the protector. He was like the knight to the king and queen, you know, he was like that person. And that gave him worth, that gave him a purpose.
Yeah.
And so he lived that. But then as things started to come down, and that's who they're talking about in that phone call. It was Alex who said, there's a 3% chance that we'll get caught.
Yeah.
And she goes, now that's like 100% chance is what she's saying. Like now it's 100%. We went from 3% to 100%.
Yeah.
But they were saying it had to do with this project in the backyard.
Yeah.
They're not slick. Lori's attorney argued that she was under Chad's psychological control. As the jurors were being told and shown the evidence, Vallow's defense attorneys at one point asked the judge if she could be excused from the rest of the day's testimony, because when they were talking about how the kids were found, she felt like that was too graphic and she didn't want to be in the...
But she did it.
And the judge was quickly like, no, that's a no. No. On May 12th, 2023, Lori was found guilty on all charges. She was sentenced on July 31st, 2023 to consecutive life sentences without parole for the murders of Tylee, JJ, and the conspiracy to commit Tammy's murder, plus fines and restitution for grand theft. During sentencing, Judge Boyce stated that Lori had murdered her children to remove obstacles and profit financially following a bizarre religious rabbit hole. Before her sentencing, though, Lori made her first public statement claiming that she had been speaking to Jesus, Tylee, JJ, and Tammy, who said they were happy and extremely busy in heaven. Wow, I wouldn't think that. She asserted that no one was murdered, suggesting accidental deaths and suicides instead. But don't take my word for it. Here's the lady herself.
I would like to start by quoting John from the New Testament in the Bible. In John chapter 8, verse 7, Jesus says, "He that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her." Then in verse 15, Jesus says, "Ye judge after the flesh, I judge no man. And yet if I judge, my judgment is true." Jesus knows me, and Jesus understands me. I mourn with all of you who mourn my children and Tammy. Jesus Christ knows the truth of what happened here. Jesus Christ knows that no one was murdered in this case. Accidental deaths happen. Suicides happen. Fatal side effects from medications happen. I have a different perspective in life.
Hey there, it's Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Look, President Biden's campaign has got big fundraising goals and not a lot of
I'm about to show you our weird strategy that gets millions of views without having to dance or
life, because in 2002, perspective in life, because in 2002, when I was pregnant with Tylee, I died in the hospital while in labor with her. They tried to stop my labor. They put me on the table and they put something in my IV, and I felt my spirit falling to the floor. I was standing near my pregnant body, watching the doctors try to revive me, which took them a few minutes. In that time, my sister Stacy was standing to my left. I turned to hug her and was surprised that her spirit was as tangible as a physical body, because I knew I was in spirit and she was in spirit. She said she needed to show me some things, and we went to heaven. I later returned to my body Because of this experience, I have access to heaven and the spirit world. Since then, I have had many communications from people now living in heaven, including my children, Tylee Ashlyn and Joshua Jackson, my sisters, Stacy and Lolly, my aunts and my uncles, and my grandparents. I have had many communications with Jesus Christ, the Savior of this world, and our heavenly parents. I've had many angelic visitors have come and communicated with me and even manifested themselves to me. Because of these communications, I know for a fact that my children are happy and busy in the spirit world. Because of my communications with my friend Tammy Daybell, I know that she is also very happy and extremely busy. I have always mourned the loss of my loved ones, and I have lost many in this mortal world. However, I know them more than most people. I know where they are now and what they're doing. I know how wonderful heaven is, and I'm homesick for it every single day.
Where is the like, I'm so sorry, I have remorse, I miss my children?
How could you get through a speech like that without crying about your children?
She's just crying about herself.
She's not even crying, though. You know what I mean? Like,
I've lost so many people.
Because you killed them all.
I have powers. I talk to Jesus and I see him in heaven. You know what? My version of heaven, I'm not busy.
Definitely not.
I don't want to be like,
Tammy
I'm
talk
so
to the woman
fucking busy.
that is having an affair with her husband and then helped kill her. Why would she come to you and talk to you?
But she's busy. What is she busy doing? I don't want to be busy.
Yeah.
I want to be
doesn't
like,
sound like heaven.
I want to be entertained, but I don't want to be busy.
I don't know. Every time you play a clip of her,
her voice makes you want to like throw things, right?
Yes.
It makes me want to throw things. Oh, sorry for the cough. Got a sick kiddo. In November 23, Lori was extradited to Arizona to face 2 conspiracy charges. She pled not guilty to both. On November 9th, 23, Chad's legal team filed motions to remove the death penalty, claiming Lori had manipulated Chad. But these motions were denied in December. So Chad's trial began on April 10th, 2024. The prosecutor depicted Chad as motivated by sex, money, and power, seeing his wife and Lori's children as obstacles. I mean, that accounts for that's for both of them. Chad's attorney portrayed him as a religious man lured into a relationship by Lori, focusing on Alex Cox's history of violence and his role as Lori's protector.
Alrighty.
So it's really he said, she said at this point. Chad's children have also come out and said it's Lori's fault that this has happened. Chad's sister-in-law, Tammy's sister, is like, no, like this is all Chad. The phone calls, between Lori and Colby are hard. They're not dissimilar. They're not as tear filled as Summers was, but here's Colby.
You weren't there. You weren't there. Summer wasn't there. My mom wasn't there. The police weren't there. The FBI weren't there. Nobody was there.
Tylee and JJ, mom.
Yeah, and guess what? They know. They know exactly what happened, and they love me, and we are still together forever. They love me, and they are fine, and they do know the truth, and I know the truth, and we're the only people that do. So you can judge me, Colby, all day long. Go ahead and judge me. The whole world has. The whole world has judged me.
Listen to me.
They don't know, and you don't know. You don't know what I've been through, and you didn't even give a crap what they've been through. Nobody does. Except for me. I'm the one that knows. I'm the one that was in the hospital with Tylee for hundreds of days watching her suffer. I'm the one that was there doing everything with JJ every day. I was the one who did it all these years.
You did it all to throw it in the garbage. They're not.
You don't know what happened. You don't know what happened.
Freaking matter what happened if they're buried in your new husband's backyard. Tell me that matters what happened. You tell me that you did this in Jesus' name, Mom. I have to hear that out of you. You believe it, that you are not afraid. Every witness of Christ will scream his name when he comes back. So you are that person.
I am that person. I am that person.
Christ,
and he will come to you. Oh, yeah, Colby, because that's what it is.
Okay.
You don't even know. You weren't even there, and you don't even know.
When I asked you about Tylee in October, what did you tell me? What did you tell me? What lies did you feed me? Why would you lie to me if you're with the Lord and you've seen him, and I'm just talking purely to you, and you've seen Jesus Christ, where's the fear? Why wouldn't you tell me something? Why were you afraid? Why is everyone against you? Why is everything against my mom?
You can be against me all you want. One day, we will all stand there with Jesus. We will all stand there with Jesus, and you will know the truth of everything.
Isn't it?
Not for me.
You're telling me that this was all done in light. Say it. Tell me that this was done in Jesus' name.
You don't know what happened.
Why? Why don't I know, Mom? Oh, because I was kept in the dark to protect me? You know who needed protecting? My little dead siblings. That's who needed protecting, Mom.
That sniffling that you heard was him on the stand listening to that. That was played during the trial.
I feel like if I ever met this woman in real life, I would probably be arrested because she makes me want to commit murder. Like, truthfully, she sounds like the most piece of shit person we've talked about in a long time.
Yeah. And like, I just remember like the headlines, like Lori shows up wearing red lipstick, which she made with like Jolly Ranchers, I guess, to give herself this red lipstick and some like eyed stuff. I don't know, something, jailhouse makeup. And she was just like, do. And there's Chad. I'm going to smile at Chad in the courtroom. My family's over here, totally ignoring them, not even looking at my son. Just looking at Chad and just smug. And there's all these pictures of her just like, I'm in the back of a cop car smiling like cheese. Just gross. It is all about her. It's me against the world.
I love how every time someone asks her to explain the situation, she just says, you aren't there. Okay, well then what the fuck? What's happening since you were there? She just never answers. Like,
she never will.
Yeah.
Unless she
some kind of deathbed confession or something.
Yeah, like rehabilitates to not believe in this shit. Like, how long after the world doesn't end does she say, oh, I guess we were wrong? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
oopsie daisy.
Oopsies. And now I'm in jail, not getting laid. I don't know. Like, all she wanted was to get laid, I guess, by this guy. Ugh. I don't know. Like, that's it. You're killing your kids and your husband. You can't get divorced. And he says in this phone call, I would have taken them. Well, why didn't you do it? Where was the offer for me to do it? You never said, hey, I don't want them anymore.
Yeah.
So she's like, I was the one that took care of them. So you just ended it because they were like a problem? You didn't want to be a mom anymore? The murder doesn't seem like the answer, but it was to them. Like, why don't you just get a divorce? No, we can't because of being...
Divorce is out, but murder's totally fine.
Fine. One is legal, one is not. I don't understand. Like, anyway, so Chad, she's sitting life in prison. She's gone. Chad, we're still waiting on. Trial's still going on, and we'll just see what happens. I'll bring the update when I get it.
Okay.
And that's my story, y'all.
Oh shit. All right.
Should we end it on a good note?
Yes. Let's.
Okay, everybody.
One more time. Here we go.
In a world of crime and mystery, they work for us, researching history. Kat and Ashley with a case to crack, on the move, never looking back. Case files with Kat and Ashley, always funny, sometimes trashy, solving crimes with a beer in hand. Drunk detectives in a crazy land, from the studio to the scene of a crime. Technical issues all the time, with charm and wit, they're quite a sight. And Kevin the goat, he screams all night. He screams all night. But behind the scene there's a hidden ace. The wizard works with skill and grace. He's a mastermind, always on call. The wizard's the one who saves them all. With a clever mind and a handsome face, the wizard works without a trace. It's a sight to behold when he turns this shit show into gold. He turns the shit show